So this is an anthill. It's the yellow meadow ant, Lasius flavus, and you'll notice that what's growing on top of it is very different to what's growing around it, and that's because the ants alter the composition of the soil inside the mound, and they do this because they actually farm aphids. And the whole process alters the chemical composition of the soil, so different plants grow on it. So these create heterogeneity, diversity in the ecosystem. So what is otherwise a monoculture of false oat grass that grows here now, these anthills provide diversity in different species, and you can see that just from here. Now let's see if we can actually find oh, look at that, that's brilliant. So the soil here is really, really different. So if you get your fingers in, you have a good old dig around, the soil will feel completely different. It's very wet actually. Oh look, there's a spider. So if this was in the summer or spring, having done this, we would see lots of ants scuttling away and probably carrying their brood with them, because they bring the reason they build the mounds is to bring the brood up to the top, and it acts as a kind of solarium. But as you can see, if they grow lots of grass like this, this means that the brood are not really benefiting from the sun's heat. And that's why grazing is really important, whether it's natural grazing by rabbits or deer, or managed grazing by sheep or cows. And then the other really cool thing about these mounds is that they will change their shape depending on the management of the fields that they're in, and they are a sign of ancient meadows in the UK, and you can tell a lot about the history of that meadow based on the mound itself. So particularly, and this is a really good example, they will be taller in fields where the grass has grown really tall. So you can't really see this because it's January and all the grass has died, but this grass was literally, waist high in the summer. And so these hills are really struggling the ants are really struggling to make use of the hills for their brood. And ultimately, if the grass continues to be so tall, the ants will just die. And that's really sad, because they're really important as ecosystem engineers and parts of the environment. So what I love about this time of year is that you can look across the fields and you see all these mounds, and one day I'd love to map them all and work out, because they're all independent colonies, and there's a lot of them here. There's probably thousands of mounds in this field, and if you look at the fields around us, the farmed fields, they've been completely removed, and so this is a little oasis of biodiversity for these ants, surrounded by this perfectly manicured fields where these ants can't survive. And once you see the anthills, you can't unsee them. You see them everywhere. You can't not see them now.
I just think they're tussocks.
Yeah, but they're all anthills. Not all of them are alive, actually. So if you come along in the spring or summer, you can check to see which ones have got ants in them, especially on a hot day, because they should all be up at the top rather than the bottom. You'll see that actually a few of them are not alive still, and that's really sad. So managing the fields such that the ants can spring back to their former glory and become a really important, iconic part of the field is, from my perspective, a really important part of why you're here. Do you have